Oh, dear, too nice. Thanks a lot. I just have to start by saying I'm having flashbacks to grade 4 in Mossbank, Saskatchewan. One of my mom said, "You're doing oratory." And I made it to Assiniboia, to the district oratory. And I got there and I sat next to her, scared, sweaty, with my cute little black jeans, my little button-up shirt, and a leather black tie, thinking, how am I going to remember the words to "Sick" by Shel Silverstein? Got to the front, went okay, got back to my seat, sat down, looked down, fly down. And I went, "Mom," and she's like, "At least you're," it's the punchline, "at least your tie wasn't sticking out of it." So that's how I feel right now. But thanks for the warm welcome. I just want to start by saying that community, I'm so glad that Ashley brought that up, because I walk in, I see Dan, I see Elaine, I'm like, the Brood crew hustling, everyone in here has something going on, and I have this feeling of togetherness, and that support is so important. And I never thought I'd be quoting High School Musical 3, but we are all in this together, so let's like speed around the corner, am I right? Maybe that was High School Musical 2, I'm not sure, I only saw one student stick with me. But anyway, so when I was looking around, seeing these people, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up there, and how do I break it to them that I'm just faking it, like I don't belong here. But the thing about being asked to talk at an entrepreneurial event talking about self-discovery means that you actually have to slow down and realize what's become of your life. You have to slow down and be like, oh my goodness, like I have to do some discovery. And that's scary, because sometimes I'm the kind of person that goes through things and says, okay, like just distract, keep going, like, oh, the hustle, whatever. But I think this is so important, so thank you, Ashley, for bringing us out to support each other and amazing. Did anybody watch the videos of, like the 1-minute live videos of the little blurbs going in? So whether you did or not, great job. What I talked about was people, and I wanted to go through 3 discoveries I've had, and tell a story with each. So the first story I'll tell is a scary day. I don't know if you guys are around or aware of Wheelhouse at this point. We were still a couple months away from opening, and we had underground rides planned. So construction was way behind schedule. We were getting kind of scared. The bikes had come, they were expensive. And we're like, Kate, let's stuff them in the basement and convince our closest friends to come downstairs and have the water heater drip on them and some weird substance like sloth across the floor, I don't know, and convince them that it's going to be a good time. That's where the high five came from, because we just had to like distract people from what was going on. So this is happening. We've convinced our first sold out ride to show up. It's a 5:30 on a Monday. Our rock star Courtland is there, she's ready to go. This is what she's born to do. We've been waiting for this moment. And all these strangers are sitting upstairs in this like unframed, or just barely framed space, being like, oh, this is Wheelhouse, and it's their first point of contact with it. And just like that, half an hour before, as the first people are showing up, bam, the power in the warehouse district goes out. And we're saying, oh no, this can't be happening. So it was like, okay, who do we call? What do we do? Can we get a generator? Everything we do, from the leaderboard to the speakers, like the microphones, everything runs off power. How can we do this? So it's an example of community right there. I said, okay, captive audience, I used to work there. Okay, I'll call someone there. I know they have a truck. I know they have a generator. Maybe we can get this going. So spent the next 35 minutes hustling around, getting this stuff, and all the while just like kind of rallying the troops. And at this point, I had gone through living in multiple towns for hockey. I'd gone through university, realizing that I loved the social part of it, walking through Adele Center saying, hey, what's up, meeting all these new people. But it was that day that I realized, as I had to entertain people and distract them from what was really going on, as the pieces finally fell into place, what I really learned is that I loved not just meeting people, but being a part of that special moment when you've met one person who possesses amazing qualities that another person can benefit from, and seeing those people in the same room and seeing their eyes light up and then be like, oh man, this is a person who could really enhance my life. And I love creating those relationships. So I kind of hit my stride, and that was the first test of like, can we actually host people in this building? And as 5:35 hit and everything with the generator was set up, the power went back on, and all that hustle was for nothing. But it was kind of a defining moment where I was like, you know what, this is fun. I'm learning a lot about who I am. The second thing I've learned is that entrepreneurship, being around people, connecting people, putting on that happy face on a daily basis is not easy. Has anybody been there? Has anybody even tried to put on a face? Authenticity is so important. So that swing of being like, how can I be authentically happy when local internet company X isn't coming through today, the power's out again, someone didn't show up that needed to, and my life is in shambles, and now vault door slides open. Hey everybody, let's sweat it out together. So I've learned that it's not tough. Or sorry, I've learned that it's very tough. Just mixed messages, yeah. Okay. Another thing with that, this wasn't like part of my 3 discoveries today, but some people alluded to it and I just loved it because growing up I thought the word audacity was a bad word. I was like, oh, the audacity, right? It's always used in that context. But I think in what we do, and I think we've seen amazing examples of that tonight, like, hey, we're gonna just go to Kickstarter and we're gonna like see if the community is gonna support us. We're just gonna go to the expo and not hope for the best, put in the hard work, but see what comes from that, and position ourselves as wedding photographers. It's a true like putting your money where your mouth is scenario, and sometimes if you lead with that, hey, here's what we're gonna do, before you know how to do it, that's when you get the most from yourself, and then rely on community support. So a story with that is backtracking about to that time when we were opening. And it was about 2 weeks till we planned an opening, and those underground rides had gained some momentum, and we're like, hey, you know what, maybe this is easier than we thought. We're getting a little bit of swagger, and we're like, okay, and then construction delays, city permit delays, a lot of frustrations, and instead of me executing this perfect marketing plan with one Instagram every second day, with photo shoots on the other days featuring our staff, rolling it out, it was me with like paint on my hands at 3 a.m. being like, I can't touch my phone, it's too late now. One entity supplying us with a loan has now said, oh, we need one more signature, and there's no way we could get that signature, and we have $1,000 in the bank and we open next week, and that's not enough to make payroll. And it's like, you know what? Maybe this won't work. And I had put my money where my mouth was, and my identity almost was, hey, that's Lyndon, he's opening Wheelhouse, because I had to just kind of live and breathe that. And I had to start thinking, what if this doesn't work? And it barely worked. Like, first week, I think we had 80 people total. And first ride, opening day, you have this grand picture, right? People lined up for blocks. People, you know, just like high-fiving everybody in the lobby. But the first ride was 5 people from Saskatoon, like, what is going on? And we're like, oh, well, the flooring guys were late and the mirrors won't be until next week, and the music's gonna go though, so let's see what we can do. And that's day 1, and you're like, okay, what do we do? So that was scary, and I started thinking about identity, and this is the part where I was like, I don't know, maybe I won't talk about that tonight, but in the name of vulnerability, I'm absolutely going to.
Yes.
Thanks, Alex. So, I want to tell my favorite story, but also my least favorite story, going back to the Moss Bank days, since I now feel like you guys are there with me, because you bared with me during the oratory story. Novice hockey, who played hockey growing up? Oh my goodness, we have someone from Hodgeville here, I can't tell this. Okay, some names will be changed for this story. So, the Moss Bank Novice Bulldogs, my team, how old were we in Novice, Al? 7? Yeah, 7 years old. So we had made it to the league finals, and this is our Stanley Cup. At this point in my life, I'm only a hockey player. This is where I find my identity. It's all we talk about at school. Our teachers are coming to our games. That's how you know it's getting real in a town of 450 people. Goes to game 3. It's a best of 3. We force game 3 by winning at home. We go to Hodgeville. No offense, Al. Hodgeville is my least favorite place in Saskatchewan. The fans would lean over the boards, there was no glass, they would spit on you, they would pour Coca-Cola on you, and rumor had it that the parents were going to buy these 7-year-olds beer if they beat us, so a travesty. And that was how Hodgeville looked to me, yet they produced Al, and he's one of my favorite people on earth, so still doesn't add up. Anyway, so we're in Hodgeville, like, the same kind of butterflies I had in my stomach before getting up here tonight. Biggest game of my life. I've played this one out in the basement, mini stick hockey, multiple times. I know how it's going to go, and it's going to go to overtime, and it did. And being a small town, we had about 7 or 8 guys on our team, which is not enough, which means you stay on the ice for about 10 minutes at a time, then you take a break. So it goes to double overtime, and the only name you need to know, does anybody know people from Moss Bank other than me? Okay, good. So my goalie is Riley Hutchinson, and the defenseman who will become important in this story is Stephen Kowalski. And it goes to double overtime. I take a rare break, go to the bench, I'm sitting beside Matt LeBuc, and we're just like breathing heavy and like in the game of our lives, in the zone. They dump the puck and it goes around the board, squirts in front of our net. Steven goes to pick it up, Riley's in net here. Looks like he's gonna wheel behind the net, and one fell swoop, he has the best snapshot of his life above Riley's blocker and into our own net. He goes to cheer, puts his hands up in the air, and then falls flat on his face when he realizes what he's done. The most useless comment of the night was Matt LeBuc turning to me and saying about a very average defenseman, Stephen Kowalski, I guess he's not getting MVP this year. I guess he wasn't in the first place, but yeah, fair statement. And that day, Stephen Kowalski woke up saying, I'm a hockey player. At the end of that day, Stephen Kowalski didn't want to go to school ever again. So, what I have learned through being a hockey player, and then no longer being a hockey player, what I have learned being somewhat of an entrepreneur is that it's somewhat dangerous to tie your identity and tie your happiness to what you do and what others may define you as. So I want to challenge you guys to look for something more sustaining. For me, that's my faith. That's the only thing I can turn to be a rock for me. And I really wanted to share that because there are those days where I'm like, you know what, like, I mean, the hurricane, maybe not a hurricane, maybe it's a fire, wheelhouse could burn down tomorrow and it's all over. So that being said, I feel so supported tonight. I love seeing the support for each other. I want you guys to attack your days with audacity, and I want us to celebrate the next time someone asks us, what's there to do in Regina? Should I actually come visit there? Let's like look around the room here. Like look at all these amazing success stories. Look, the Entrepreneur of the Year for the world is from Regina, Saskatchewan. The Dead South, who play charity shows 50 times a year and say yes to everything and eat the production costs, now have 21 million views on their most recent YouTube videos. If that's not adopting the growth mindset and saying, yeah, I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna keep getting better every day, I don't know what is. So let's celebrate those things. Let's go home and let's say, hey, here are 3 things that are amazing. So the next time that person from Vancouver says, should I come to Regina and visit? You say yes, and here's why. Because I think we can be great advocates for Regina. So keep supporting each other. Thank you guys so much for making me feel supported. It's something I turn to on the hard days. And thank you, Ashley, for putting together an amazing evening.
I'm actually surprised I haven't cried yet, because usually I get real emotional, especially, you know, you guys, this room tonight has been, it's contagious, it's amazing. So we are going to take another drink break before we get our Q&A session rolling. So before we do that, we are going to, I'm going to challenge you again to have another meaningful conversation, because like Riley, like Lyndon, like all of us here tonight, we really showed a part of ourselves that maybe we haven't before. I haven't stood in front of a group of people since I started the Storytellers Club and even been able to share my experiences of what's happened. So I think we're all very much in this state where we're very vulnerable, and we really had no idea how things were gonna go tonight. We just stood up here because we want to tell our stories, right? So I want you to ask that question to that person that you're having a conversation with of, you know, what are you the most vulnerable about right now? What is absolutely scaring the shit out of you? And I want to see where that goes. So I challenge you guys to do that. We're going to do another drink break for 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to do Q&A, and we're going to wrap up this wonderful evening.